Greetings, Earth people. Let me tell you what I'm working on today. This is a little project for a nonprofit group called Crossroads for Florida Kids. They had a symposium where they had several speakers with PowerPoints. So I created the first segment of this already, and you can see it's like nearly 2 hours long. I created this one from the video, which is this is Miss Robin Rosenberg right here speaking, and PowerPoint slides, and then an overlay that I put over the top of that to make it look a little more whatever, snazzy. And I created this in I created this in After Effects and exported it as a PSD, that is a Photoshop file. It's just Crossroads overlay. It looks like this. The black areas are transparent. So use the alpha channel to create transparency so that I could lay in PowerPoint slides and the video. Now I'm getting ready to do part 2 of this, and the first thing I need to do is I've created a sequence where there's the video. The overlay is underneath it. That's just temporary. And I've got a blank track there. And you'll see what that's for. Basically, I need to duplicate this. See, do I have the color correction on that yet? Let's go to Effects Controls. Yeah, I do. Yep. See, it was real orangey. And I just wanted to kind of blue it up a little bit and lighten it up a little bit. So I used Lumetri color to do that. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this by clicking on it and holding the Alt key and dragging it down here. Now I'm going to have a duplicate of that. And I've already found the beginning of this clip where I want to start it. These are just things I started doing yesterday before I went home for the day. And now I need to go back to the project. I'm going to import a folder where I have taken this man's PowerPoint and I have exported it, each one of the slides, as a PNG file, so that they're image files now that I can use in my video project. So I'm going to import. Oh, you know what? Yeah, no, I can't do that yet. What I have to do, because I remember now, I saved it on my Google Drive. Yeah, I'm a goofy sumbitch. Okay, so I'm going to go to my Google Drive, and we're going to go to the PowerPoints folder. And it's this one right here, SMT. So I want to download that. So let's click download. Preparing to download right now. And it's creating a zip file out of that, which is a drag because then it's just creating extra work, but that's the way it goes. Okay, into my project, so I'm going to Crossroads Training, and we're going to save it right there. And that's done. So now let's go to... There we go. Now it's done. So now we can go Show in Folder. It's this one right here. We can double click on it and extract all files. Extract. And now it's an extracted folder, and I can import that directly into the project. And really, I can just drag and drop it. So let's do that. Wait for it. And there it is. Okay. Oh, well, Media Encoder's popping up because I have it set to make copies of things. So I'm gonna stop that right now. I'm gonna go to File, Project Settings, General, and under Ingest, I'm gonna turn this off. Okay, and now I can just close Media Encoder. It doesn't need to make the copies because it's already in the folder, so it's already in the project folder. So we don't need to make extraneous copies. Okay. So let's get started here. Now let's take a listen and see what we got going here. Oh, let me explain the... Get out of here. Closey. It's not responding, and Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? Here we go. Waiting. And there they go. Okay. So let me explain these audio things here. Both of these tracks are from the camera audio. Left channel was directly from the lavalier mic. Right channel was a shotgun mic that I had on the camera to pick up audience questions and that sort of thing. The lavalier mic ended up having a buzz in it, like a 120 cycle hum, a buzz, and I used Adobe Audition to filter that out, and now it sounds pretty good. So I'm just going to start here and figure out where I need to start the first PowerPoint slide. Let's go ahead and bring the first PowerPoint slide up and see what it looks like. Okay, it's a title slide. So let's see what we can do here. We could probably just start right away using it, but we'll see.
Well, thanks for welcoming me. It was a little bit intimidating to be invited to speak after our distinguished previous speakers. Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Robin. We depend so much upon your expertise. I was telling a colleague that it'd be important to make sure that you take your vitamins and do your push-ups so that you can stay with us for many more years. We certainly rely upon you.
Okay, he's just looked to the board there, and I'm going to go ahead and at that point, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a cut right there. Here, let's go ahead and zoom on this a bit. I'm going to make a cut right there. And I'm going to go to the overlay. So I'm just going to turn this off for now. Actually, let's do this. I know I'm going to be bringing that back. So let's do that. I'm just going to close it way the heck up and just like that. Okay, that'll do it. That'll get it out of the way for me right now. Okay, and now we get into the overlay, but in order for this to work, we have to take the, I'm sorry, I'm also going to need another channel. I'm going to need another track. Okay. Now, in order for this to work, we need to size and position this gentleman in the video. So, I'm going to go ahead and close that up to here, just because I can. And go to Effects Controls, and let's go 50%. And then just clicking on this icon here, we can drag him over here. And I'm gonna take the anchor point and move it right to about the point in his tie there, and we're gonna bring it up and bring it down a little bit. There, let's bring it up a little higher. There we go. And I'm just going to scrub through that a little bit, see how that works. Looks good. Looks like I moved the camera a little bit. That's all right. That's acceptable for this kind of thing. Okay, and we're going to take the first slide, and we're going to pop it in. I'm going to just click and drag and pop it in right here. Don't know how long it needs to be yet, but we do need to position it. So I'm going to click to position it. I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong track. And we're going to click to position it. Just drag it up. Okay, I grabbed undo that. I grabbed the anchor point by mistake. Okay, now we can see that this is a 4:3 ratio slide in a 16:9 frame. So I'm just gonna fudge it here. When there's a scale, I'm gonna take off uniform scale, and I'm gonna scale the width until it fills that up. It looks like I'm gonna need to bump it a little bit to the left. There we go. Looking pretty good, huh? Okay. So, and right now, before we do anything else, let's take a look at the second slide to see where it is. Why is educational advocacy important? I'm going to right-click on the first one and do copy. You'll see why in a minute.
I have a handout that's part of the packet that you have. It's called Educational Materials. And if you want to open up to that, we can get started with it.
Drag this out.
And as you do that, I just have an observation to make. Aren't we a part of something special here? You know, I think that what motivates a lot of us, some of us are in private practice as I am, and you know, something has to motivate us to do this. And I think we're really part of something that's going to grow, and it's going to grow, and we're going to see this become an important part of our court system as advocates for these children. So I'm proud to be part of this group and among a lot of people who are very special. So thank you for that. If you open up your packet, just raise your hand when you found the materials. Okay, we got one person so far, so we're lagging a little bit. In addition to that, it says McKinney Vento app. So different sets of materials, one PowerPoint, the other packet, and the other is busy, we take hand out, inside the McKinney Vento app. So we're going to discuss both, give you some tools that you can use. So there are two different sets of materials. One's the PowerPoint that you have in your packet, and the other is the 3-page handout entitled McKinney Vento app. So what we're going to discuss, the goal of this presentation is to give you some tools that you can use in your case. And as Robin did before, we're going to try to put our synapses to work towards the end of the presentation and analyze the fact patterns so that we can apply some of the different elements of what we're presenting here today. And so as you get a case and you're analyzing the case, then you can think about, okay, here is a goal that I have for my client. How can I press this in court? What can I tell Judge Esrick when I go to court is the legal basis for what I'm arguing. A lot of what we're doing invites subjectivity. And asks perhaps for a judge to make a decision on a subjective basis, based upon sound argument, based upon passionate argument. But what we're trying to do is to inject into the proceedings a component of objectivity. Is here is a statute that advocates for the position that I want to advocate for on behalf of my client. And the subset of what we're discussing here is educational advocacy. And Selena's here to talk about IPs and 529s. And I'm here to talk about some of the different statutes that you can use as you're analyzing your case.
All right, I'm just going to make sure I didn't miss anything here. Educational stability, school enrollment. Nope, I think we're still good.
The second slide of the PowerPoint.
Okay, he's just told me we're going to the second slide. So I'm pulling in the second slide. I'm going to right click and paste attributes. And that is going to put it right in place.
Should state, why is educational advocacy important?
Bingo.
And some startling statistics that are no doubt familiar to you. And by the way, I have to attribute this PowerPoint primarily to Matt Nachman. I'm sure the board is familiar with Matt. He prepared this and we adapted it for use today. I heard the presentation at a CLE that he presented to guardians. I have the privilege of being a guardian at Lyman, so I get to listen to what they have to present. I thought it would be beneficial to share it with you here today. So much of this is Matt's work product, and thank you for allowing me to use it. Why is that educational advocacy important? 50% of 17-year-olds perform below grade level. 46% of 17-year-olds fail the LCAT. 32% of 20-year-olds have not completed high school, a GED, a vocational school, or college. And only 26% of youth aging out of foster care receive a standard high school diploma. We have work to do, folks. And so that should be one of the factors that we consider as we meet with our client. What is the level of education? What is their opportunity in the next few years of their lives? Most of our clients we're going to have will be somewhere in their teens usually, and usually we're caught up in a situation where we're dealing with hellish situations involving parents who are being negligent or worse. And we're caught up in trying to deal with that.
I'm going to go ahead and move this video over a little bit. Seems to be off to the right quite a bit. Yeah, he's a moving target.
Next slide.
I'm going to move it over a little bit more.
What do we do in order to help them, in order to avoid having to be one of these statistics? Next slide will be educational stability. Next slide will be education.
Paste attributes. Okay, we'll just pull on that on here. We're going to do a quick save. Always save, always save. Control S, Control S, Control S.
Educational stability. Average academic recovery takes 4 to 6 months after each school change.
Here's our next slide.
National study found that the
enrollment.
youth who had one fewer placement change per year were almost twice as likely to graduate from high school before leaving care. And that was one of the hypotheticals that Robin presented earlier. I think it was Abby, where she had switched schools 3 times, and it said that she was slowly improving in school in her third placement at third different school. And so to me, I looked at that and I said, wow, that's an unusual situation. Usually you'd see that poor child not doing so well in school. So the common, at least I would see, Robin, what do you think of this, is common scenarios a child's not doing so well after being moved around 3 different times. So we're looking for that educational stability, and that's, if there is one theme of the presentation that I have for you, that's it, is to get the child in a place where they're not being kind of jerked around to different teachers, and so that they can, get to school, so they don't have to wait on a bus for an hour, so that they can have that educational chance that they need to have in order to succeed. School enrollment, the next slide is mandatory.
Now, why the hell did Media Encoder just pop up again? I have no idea. But we're just going to wait for it to pop up and see what it is. And then I'm going to delete everything out of the queue. And hopefully we'll be able to get rid of it. How odd is that? It just pops up in the middle of nowhere. Wouldn't bother me so much, except it takes so darn long to load. Crazy long time to load. Okay. We're just going to select everything. We're going to stop whatever it's doing. I don't know what the heck. You know what it's doing? It's still doing these. It still wants to do all these freaking slides. So I'm going to, oh God, I'm going to select one, hit Control A to select all, and then I'm going to delete them, except it's not letting me. So awesome. So freaking awesome. Stop doing what you're doing. And let's delete everything. There we go. Goodbye. Goodbye. All
right. School enrollment. The next slide is mandatory from ages 6 to
okay, we're in the next slide.
that they need to have in order to succeed.
Okay, we're ready for the next slide. And, oh, Jesus. Here we go. Paste attributes. Okay.
School enrollment. The next slide is mandatory from ages 6 to 16. It may start at kindergarten at age 5 by September the 1st, but may begin at age 3 if there's a disability. So think about that. If you have a young client, must pass the kindergarten to begin first grade, and pregnancy and citizenship do not matter. Foster youth face additional hurdles to success. I'm going to pass along to Selena for.
Okay, I can see over here that we've got a long area of low volume. So something's coming up here. I'm not sure what it was. I'm going to see what just happened here.
And I'm going to pass along to Selena for.
I think I may have the presentation.
Okay.
Just give me one second. Okay.
All right. I have no idea what's going on here, so I'm just going to go back to the full shot, which is now gone. Oh, because I added a track, so it deleted it. Okay.
Started at
No
kindergarten at age 5 by September.
Okay, where he walks
I
out of
think
the
I may
frame.
have the presentation.
Okay.
All right, right there. Okay. So let's go here just on this track here. And I'm going to put a marker there. And see, I'm just going to go ahead and highlight all these. Put a marker there. And I'm going to, oh jeez. I'm going to stretch this out. I'm going to cut here, delete that. And now we're back in business.
That if you have a young client, must pass the kindergarten to begin the first grade. Okay.
Just give me one second. Okay.
Do you mind if I make one quick, I know this is rude, I hate it.
No, go right ahead. I'm gonna just try to get our presentation.
Passionate about education, and I so agree, and I wish I could stay for the remainder. But I do want everybody to be aware that we finally, at long last, have a school system liaison to our dependency court. Her name is Susan Horan. She's in my courtroom every day, all day, every day, with rare exceptions. And
I'm going to do something right now with these audio tracks. I'm going to select the direct mic. I'm going to audio. And I'm going to go preset dialogue. I'm just going to put background male voice for this. And that's going to improve the quality of that. And this one I'm going to grab here. I'm going to go preset dialogue, background Walla Walla. I don't know what, I have no idea what that is. Well, let's try it and see what it does.
Some of those exceptions being all school holidays, so if it's a teacher planning day or whatever.
I just wanted to be able to hear her better, and I can now. She's not on a microphone, so that's just a shotgun mic picking her up.
She's not there, but 99% of the time she's there, but she's available. She's a resource not just for the courts, but for everybody involved in the system, including you. And moreover, she goes to other courtrooms, so if there's an education issue or
Okay, the people are talking, hear them on the microphone, so I want to get rid of that, just, because hot mic. All right, where the camera swings over there, I'm just going to cut this. And I can see that we don't need to listen to any of that until about right there. So we're just going to cut it out.
if it's a teacher planning day or 504 plans, they can pull up IEPs, all sorts of things, so thank you.
Okay, I think this might help just kind of keep everybody on track in terms of what slide we're on. I'm Selena. I'm with Disability Rights Florida. I'm probably the only non-attorney in the room. But I've been doing special education for over 20 years, and I've been with Disability Rights now for 14 years. I know Robin very well, and I'm really happy to be here today. So I want to know just from you guys, how many of you all have ever been to an IEP meeting? Oh, okay, good. Okay. So my role today is to just kind of help understand the education process. I work with attorneys in disability rights. Even though I'm not an attorney, my work is supervised by an attorney. So I work a case, I get it to where it needs to be. I try to resolve the educational issues, make sure that our kids are getting services. And then if we need to go to a due process, I work with our attorneys. So I'm going to talk a little bit later about how we can work together and how our agency can actually help you guys with your cases. But for today's sake, I'm going to talk about education, IEPs, what's involved, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. These are the, we live in an acronym type of filled world.
Okay, she's talking about this slide. She's getting ready to talk about that, so I'm going to cut her there. And now you can see she's in the box. Yay! Okay, I'm going to zoom out, and I'm just going to stretch this all the way out here, and all the way down here, and I'll come back for some of that later. Doing a save there. And we know that we need this slide here. Can't really see it, so I'm going to zoom in on that. There we go. And we're going to paste attributes. Okay.
These are the, we live in an acronym type of filled world in education. So in your
I'm going to also do a cut right here, and I'm going to do a little move on this under the effects panel. That's good enough. Okay, and this slide needs to come out a whole bunch.
packet, I tried to provide you guys with a glossary of some of the acronyms that you're going to see if you do attend an IEP meeting. FAPE is huge in the education world, and that means free and appropriate public education. That is what the students are entitled to in special education and in education in general. They are entitled to free and appropriate education under IDEA, which is a body of law that governs special education. Our job is to make sure that our kids are fully included and getting services that they need in the general education classroom. IDEA does not talk about inclusion per se. It does not mention the word
Still
inclusion.
talking about IDEA.
Child find is pretty important. And I will tell you just to
she's gonna
say,
be on this for a
we
while.
cover the entire state of Florida.
Let's go all the way down here and see if she's still talking about it.
No,
Yeah, let's go back.
in my world, it's not enough to have a disability and get services. You actually have to identifying these kids, and early intervention is huge. So when we can bring in programs like Child Find and really look at what our
Oh,
kids
man,
need at
she's
a
still
young
on
age,
Child
it
Find.
helps set the stage.
Oh my goodness, this is going to be going on for quite a while.
I think that will help.
They can work.
They can work with them. So, yeah, does that help?
Yeah, but I still don't see how that's the school district itself.
It's part of the school district. It's through the early childhood department. Once they hit 3, it becomes a different funding. It's called Part C funding. Okay, so response to intervention, it's
RTI?
RTI. Now there's kind of a
Okay, I'm going to go way down here.
school district.
All right, let's check our email, which is going off multiple times. All right, Greg Coleman, your agenda today. Nope, that's fine. Okay, that's all good. All right.
Give you a diagnosis.
Right.
So that's up to a medical professional. The only thing the school districts can do is evaluate you to determine if you are eligible for a program. So I always tell parents to kind of look away from the label. I mean, I don't really care what you call it, as long as we're getting the kid what they need. There's 15 eligibility requirements, so to speak. We have autism, we have SLD, we have other health impaired, we have language impaired. So there's so many of them. So it's all about what that specific kid's deficit is. And if we can make them eligible for one of those programs, then there is a slew of services and supports that they can get. I had a parent that I went to bat with, and the only thing that we could definitely get this kid eligible under was EBD. Not my favorite eligibility. That's our emotional behavioral disability. It's not my favorite to make kids eligible. Let's just get him what he needs, kind of.
Can I mention something?
Sure.
As far as
She stepped out of the frame there, so I'm going to go ahead and go back to the full shot here and see if we got her in the shot. Yeah, she's in.
as requesting the evaluation and to go through the RTI process, what
Still on
triggered
RTI.
the time? The
So
time?
RTI, there's no timeline for RTI. Some people will say, oh, we have to do RTI for 30 days. That's absolutely incorrect. Under IDEA, there's no time frame for RTI. You can do RTI for 2 weeks and get data. You can do RTI for a month and say, wow, this is really working. The timeline kicks in when the parents sign consent for testing. And that's for new and initial evaluations. There's a 60-day timeline where the school districts have to provide those evaluations. Now, it's 60 school days. It's not calendar days, so when you're out for Thanksgiving, that week doesn't count. It truly is 60 school days that the child is in school.
Okay, and then in the
I'm just going to leave her up here
absence
full screen until
of parent,
until she moves on to another one. See
caregiver to
what
the
was
child should be able to
should be
sign.
school
it.
choice.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are the experts in that area, but what we do
She's still answering questions about RTI.
Can I ask another?
Sure.
The request for the testing,
Mhm.
have the testing done?
Evaluations.
in a form,
So,
online, or
no.
what do you recommend?
In education, and you guys may be familiar with this, but I always say if it's not written down, it doesn't count. I really recommend that once we get to that point with family,
Oh, that's unfortunate, but. At
echo
least we see her.
educational.
Yeah, it looks like she's getting ready to hand off to the guy again.
I will tell you that at the end of this presentation, I promise.
And be sure to keep Selena's contact information. It's an incredible resource, obviously.
Come on, Stan, move the camera. Stan. There you go.
Okay. School choice is something.
Okay, we're on school choice, so we can cut here and go back here and close that up, and we can go back to school choice. Oh no, we're still on. I'm sorry, we're still on the same slide. I knew that. Okay, we're just going to drag that out, and
School choice is something to factor in. We're going to discuss a little bit more detail about.
let me cut here. Unfortunately, it took me a while to get his camera aligned. That's not what I wanted. I wanted that. Okay. So let's just do the best we can right here with this right now. Yeah, there's nothing there. So, but at least we can do that. So, no big deal. Okay, now that we've got him aligned there, let's bring him over here. Okay.
A client wants to play soccer and the school doesn't provide that resource. I would like for my client to go to this school. Yeah, okay.
Okay, so
off again.
IEPs.
Okay, they're switching off again.
Yeah, okay.
I don't have to do anything.
The IEP is our legal contract at the school district. It's basically what they say they're going to provide for the child.
Again, I'm going to manipulate this a little bit.
At the school district. It's basically what they say they're going to provide for the child. I'm going to tell you that I'm not a fan of the 32-page IEP. I know everybody thinks if it's 32 pages or more, it's better. That's not always the case. I mean, think about a teacher that has to grab that and figure out, I had to read this for this kid. I don't really want to do that. I mean, you got to think about that. The 10-page.
Let's see how that looks.
Student, they really should be part of that plan. But basically,
But is it
Absolutely.
hard for them if they're in class with other kids to make that statement? Are they embarrassed, or I guess they have to catch the teacher all the time?
sometimes, yeah, sometimes, you know, there are things that we can do there. I mean, you know, we've done for some of our kids is we've had them meet with the teacher. Emotionally attached that you do want to hear sometimes from the students when they can participate. They not always can, but you know, sometimes they do. So it's a written plan, it's a written document. It's reviewed annually.
Okay, what's happening right now is there are a whole bunch of people in the lobby of this place right now that are taking a break from another event, and they're making all kinds of noise, and it's coming through the shotgun mic. So I'm going to go back to where I first started hearing that. I'm going to lower the volume there.
That's not always the case. I mean, think about
You go back to playing soccer. Can that be a factor that you can present under school choice? And okay, okay.
Yeah, I'm starting to hear it here, so I'm just going to bring this down here.
School choice is something to factor in. We're going to discuss a little bit more detail about the dilemmas that we have about where a child should go to school and how we can advocate for that. And this is sort of the very first issue that we
I'm just
need
gonna
to
leave it down
contemplate
until
in that
somebody asks us a
2015 school choice required each school district to provide preferential treatment, open enrollment. Like for my client to go to this school. Okay.
The kids in the high school level, because they get in there and they say, if you just slow down. And sometimes that's all it takes, is just to hear from that student. They really.
Okay, we got a question now.
But basically,
But is it hard
Absolutely.
for them if they're
Just think of both of these and slide them over a little bit.
in class with other kids to make that statement? Are they embarrassed, or I guess they have to catch the teacher?
sometimes, yeah, sometimes, there are things that we can do there. We've done for some of our kids is we've had them meet with the teachers after school and say, okay, just stay for 5 minutes. Was there any, or if I kind of give you the signal, slow down kind of thing. There's different transitions that we can do and accommodations that we can make. But it is kind of nice to hear from the kid. Because sometimes you hear just from the parents, and the parents are so emotionally attached that you do want to hear sometimes from the students when they can participate. They not always can, but sometimes they do. So it's a written plan, it's a written document. Should honor those meetings.
Let's go back and figure out what the next slide is. Child find. Oh, Jesus. We've got individual slides for these things. Now I find out. Okay, so we got to go back. We got to go way back to where this slide 06 started. Yay. Got to go way back. Okay. Oh, my bad. It's not slide 06. I was looking at slide 5, slide 4, slide 5. This word. Okay.
We live in an acronym type of filled world in education. So in your packet.
Okay. So the first one we have to find is where they start talking about child find.
Provide you guys with a glossary of some of the acronyms.
And I'm going back here, and I know that he came in under school choice. So
The learning ability?
No, so it's how the disability impacts that student at school. It could be learning, it could be
3 years and younger.
that's a child find program.
oh, child find.
Now how the disability affects the learning ability?
No, so it's how the disability impacts that.
Let's go back.
Child find is pretty important.
Okay. We're talking about child find. We got lucky. Okay, so we're going to cut this and delete. And we're going to go to child find and pull that in. We're going to have to... Oh, what the... cut the freaking video. Duh. Not paying attention. Delete slide number 5 there. And we're going to take 5 and stick it in here. I don't think we're going to be able to paste attributes now. Maybe we can. Oh, it's still working. Okay. I'm just going to stretch child find out. Save.
Child find is pretty important. And I will tell you, just to say, we cover the entire state of Florida. Most of our casework are for our school age kids, our elementary, middle school kids. I wish we got more of our itty bitty babies, because that's my favorite area, but we don't, and we don't get a lot of kids in the dependency system. So I'm really hoping that this will help bring some of those kids into our agency, and you guys can refer and we can work with you guys. But Child Find is part of IDEA, and every school district is required
RTI is the next one.
to identify those students young age. What they do is they evaluate and they determine if that student could have a disability. Sometimes when they're little like that, we just label developmentally delayed because we don't really know yet. There's 15 different specific disabilities, and in special education, in my world, it's not enough to have a disability and get services. You actually have to have a lot that goes into identifying these kids, and early intervention is huge. So when we can bring in disability and get services, you actually have to have, your disability has to impact you at school. So some of our kids come in and our families say, my child has autism, he needs an IEP. That's not how it works. It requires evaluations. It requires us to look at how the disability impacts that student at school, on that school campus. So there's a lot that goes into identifying these kids, and early intervention is huge. So when we can bring in programs like Child Find and really look at what our kids need at a young age, it helps set the stage for that type of education that they're going to get in the elementary school and in the middle school. Absolutely. So it's how this affects students. It could be lunch, and sometimes it's OT, right? This is an example. And this will say, well, eligible for at school. And why? They can't trust themselves. Doesn't trust school. Needs to trust room. Needs to trust campus. There's certain things. Can use school. Use how. There's so many guidelines. So many. The school can only do what you do in relation to that campus. So we're going to talk a little bit about the school too, and I think that will help.
The goal is that
Pre-K centers, VPK, private daycares. That's what the Child Find programs do. Yes.
Can I just add a little twist on that?
Absolutely.
If a child is 0 to 2 years and 10 months, right by school, they're currently developed the programs that they have. Many people yeah, 0 to 2 years, 10 months. They can identify, they have their people on with OT issues. With their background, they can work generally, go home, take care of them, every format.
Yeah, absolutely. No, so yeah,
so that's the school district itself.
it's part of the school district. It's through the early childhood department. Okay, so yeah, that's what the school district. Yeah, the parents should have to make evaluations all across the school district. Okay, so response to intervention, it's RTI now. I mean, it's not school districts. Okay, so response to intervention.
Here we go. I don't know if we're going to be good past this. Oh, RTI continued. Awesome.
That's all covered by the school districts. Okay, so response to intervention is RTI. Now there's kind of a new name for it. You'll hear RTI, but you'll also hear MTSS. It's kind of all the same thing. I know every day they change the names. It's hard to keep up. So part of why RTI came into place was because we were doing a lot of diagnosing of kids in the specific learning disabilities area. We just kept saying, okay, this kid has SLD, this kid has SLD. And we just kept labeling, and giving these kids IEPs when we all...
All right, well, that's going to be enough for today because I have a session, a recording session, a shoot at 1:30 here in the studio, and I need to go set up for that and try to grab a sandwich at the same time. Anyway, that's enough for today. Hope you enjoyed it. See ya. Bye.